The largest living structure on Earth isn't a forest but it's underwater, and most people have never seen it properly. These 5 reefs aren't vacation spots but alternate worlds hiding beneath the surface, and one of them has been evolving in isolation for so long that its creatures broke the rules of nature. 5. Tuba Taha Reef, Philippines. Picture a reef so far from land that you can only reach it by live-aboard boats leaving from Palawan. Most trips are booked years ahead because the window is narrow. The park is only open to visitors from March through June. There aren't any hotels, roads, or permanent human presence. Just 2 atolls sitting in the Sulu Sea and covering nearly 97,000 hectares, and they've been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1993. The water here carries more than 1,200 marine species. Sharks, rays, turtles, and fish crowd together in densities that feel impossible for a place civilization forgot. You don't drift through Tuba Taha. You float inside a living wall where every direction is full of motion. The coral piles up in layers so thick that divers sometimes can't see the rock underneath. Schools of jacks swirl into formations that look like silver tornadoes. Napoleon wrasses glide past with heads the size of footballs. And because no one lives nearby, the light stays clean. The colors don't wash out but just sit there, glowing, like the reef has been waiting for someone to notice it. 4. Belize Barrier Reef and the Great Blue Hole. Tuba Taha proves that remoteness alone can make a reef feel alien. But scale does something even stranger to the mind. The largest barrier reef in the northern hemisphere stretches 190 miles along Belize's coast. It's the second largest reef system on Earth, and at its center sits a hole in the ocean that looks like it was punched through from below. The Great Blue Hole is a marine sinkhole so massive that satellites pick it up from orbit. Scientists analyzed the stalactites inside and found that the cave formed across 4 separate ice ages, roughly 153,000 years ago, then again 66,000 years ago, 60,000 years ago, and finally 15,000 years ago. Each time the sea level dropped, the cave grew, and then the ocean rose and drowned it. Now the interior is a cathedral of limestone columns rising from the deep, silent, and perfectly circular. From above, the hole looks like a dark eye in bright turquoise water. The contrast is so sharp that it doesn't look natural. It resembles a portal cut into the planet's surface. Divers who descend past the initial limestone shelves enter a zone where the light fades and the water turns ink blue. The walls narrow and the current disappears. And the silence feels less like peace and more like the presence of something ancient that has been sitting there since before humans existed. The reef surrounding the hole is part of the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef System, a UNESCO site that holds more than most countries manage in their entire coastline. Hole Chan Cut and Shark Ray Alley sit nearby, where nurse sharks and stingrays move through shallows clear enough to see the sand grains below. 3. Raja Ampat, Indonesia. If Tuba Taha is remote and Belize is massive, Raja Ampat is where life simply refuses to stop. This archipelago sits at the heart of the Coral Triangle, the global center of marine biodiversity, and divers who come here regularly call it the best site on the planet. The water is so clear that sunlight reaches depths where other reefs have already turned gray. The coral grows thick and layered, and scientists keep finding species here that don't exist anywhere else. Biomass is what actually separates Raja Ampat from pretty destinations. It's not about one big fish or one colorful wall. It's about thousands of small living things stacking on top of each other until the entire frame is full. Fish swim through coral tunnels that look like underwater streets. Schools of barracuda form walls of silver that turn in perfect unison when a predator approaches. Manta rays pass overhead in numbers that block the sun. Pygmy seahorses no larger than a fingernail grip individual coral branches while wobbegong sharks lie flat against the rock, pretending to be part of the scenery. And the health of the reef means the colors stay saturated deep below the surface. Most underwater footage starts to lose color after 15 or 20 meters. Here, the reds and yellows hang on longer because the system is intact enough to support them. A single dive site can contain more species than the entire Caribbean. 2. Palau. Raja Ampat has the most life. Palau has the strangest. This is the place where creatures broke the rules of nature. On one island, a saltwater lake sealed itself off from the ocean thousands of years ago. Inside that closed system, golden jellyfish multiplied until millions of them now drift through the water. And because they had no predators, they lost their ability to sting. The result is a lake where swimmers float through clouds of harmless jellyfish that pulse like living lanterns around them. But the lake has a second layer most people never reach. Below roughly 50 feet, the water turns toxic. Hydrogen sulfide saturates the depths and makes the bottom deadly. So the jellyfish stay above the poison line, trapped in the safe zone, endlessly circling a basin that is both their home and their cage. They follow the sun across the surface each day, thousands of golden bells drifting in unison, tracking light the way flowers track the sun. Palau's blue corner is a different story. Sharks patrol the currents along coral walls that drop into the deep, and German Channel gathers manta rays in formations that seem planned. The current there is so reliable that divers hook onto the reef with one hand and watch the parade go by. Reef sharks, tuna, and turtles move past in a continuous loop, as if the ocean itself has organized a procession. The entire country is a collection of impossible biology. You don't just see new things here, you see things that shouldn't exist under normal rules. 1. Great Barrier Reef, Australia. Palau showed us creatures that broke the rules. The Great Barrier Reef shows us what happens when the rules work at a scale we cannot measure. The Great Barrier Reef isn't one reef. It's 2,900 individual reefs and 900 islands stretching more than 2,300 kilometers along Australia's northeast coast. It's the only living structure visible from space, and it holds about 10% of every coral reef ecosystem on Earth. Approximately 400 types of coral live here, alongside 1,500 species of fish. But the numbers barely describe what it feels like to move through it. The outer ribbon reefs drop straight into deep ocean water, while the inner lagoons stay shallow and sheltered. Different sections feel like different worlds. Some are calm gardens where sea turtles graze on seagrass beds. Others are steep walls where the current pulls hard enough to move you without swimming, and giant clams wide enough to sit and filter the water below. At the northern end, the reef meets the mangrove forests where saltwater crocodiles patrol the channels. At the southern end, coral spawn once a year in a synchronized event that turns the water into a snowstorm of eggs and sperm. The scale collapses normal reference points. A reef that covers more ground than Italy isn't a destination. It's a network of 2,900 separate worlds, each with its own residents, its own light, and its own rules. You don't visit the Great Barrier Reef. You pick one small corner of it and try to absorb what that single corner contains. The ocean isn't empty space between continents. It's stacked with worlds we barely visit, running on schedules we don't set. These 5 places aren't the only ones. They're just the ones that happen to sit near enough to our maps that we know their names. If this list changed how you think about what is underwater, subscribe. The next escape is already being planned.